I felt like a shift in the company happened in like about the third quarter where people are bought in. They're like, okay, this is not a threat. This is an opportunity for me. And so we've invested in a lot of people going to AI boot camps. I personally am the one that typically builds out our like custom GPTs and automation tools. We have another like application manager who I've invested in making sure he understands how do we utilize Power BI, how do we implement AI and really start becoming like building AI agents versus some of the like more legacy large language models. So doing a lot. We're doing a lot, but yeah. And so I'm not too sure I like have a thought around like, is it good or is it bad, you know? But hey, we're in it.
It is what it is. Today we have our friend Jocelyn with us. Jocelyn, how did you find yourself in this crazy IT world?
How does anyone find themselves in the crazy IT world? You typically find a customer that has a need and you say that you know what you're doing and you build a company.
It's really just that simple, isn't it?
It really is that wild. So I started in the print space in this industry, in the technology industry, and I had a large medical account. And this was at the time where I was just major account sales. And this account was like, hey, Joss, we love your NPS strategy. We love your boots on the ground strategy because we have local support in every corridor of the state of New Mexico. So we have a lot of geographical challenges with support. And so we have a ton of infrastructure support throughout the state. And so they're like, hey, we love what you're doing. We love that you're local. Do you guys like have an IT side of the business? And I was like, duh, we have an IT side of the business. And like any crazy entrepreneur, right? And so I went back and I was like, hey, we're starting an IT company. And so luckily that CIO and I were close. And I said, hey, I need you to pull data, right? I need you to pull trends, your average sort of ticket, time, your expenses, your FTEs, all that stuff. And I just put some numbers together and I threw some darts at the wall, and we were up against Accenture for this contract and we won. So first contract out of the gates without any sort of business opened at all, was 1,800 PCs. And so I went to our capital. I drove up there. I was like, hey, we're incorporating. And I started an LLC and had a hiring affair across the street when they consolidated that department. And that was in 2014.
Whoa,
So, yeah.
that's about as wild as it gets from my perspective. So you are nested underneath kind of what we might call a copier-dealer. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so was having that mothership, did that help give you the confidence to take on that big of a engagement right off the bat, or was that just how you're built anyway?
Both. So I
Okay.
think, DSI is a family company. So my parents started it 30 years ago, or just shy of 30 years ago. And so I took over all of the entities in January, but the IT or the managed services space was my baby. And so I think the umbrella of the DSI name, the credibility, the infrastructure really helped mitigate the risk a little bit, right? But I think fundamentally as leaders in any industry, right, I think some people see risk as a fear-based space. And I feel like risk and failure is just like not an option. It's just like, okay, what now, right? Bull by the horns. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Worst thing we could happen is we fail at something and we try something different and we have to build it faster, right? So I think being in a position where we had the credibility in the name of the company already, while also some of that infrastructure really helped us be a startup without a lot of the growing pains of a startup.
That makes sense. And, you know, when you come out the gates with a really big client like that, I could take the guess that you just stayed on the really large accounts or, you know, forever and just took off from there? Or did you find yourself kind of calibrating down and handling those 10, 15, 20 user accounts as well?
So the larger staff augmentation, what I would call staff augmentation contracts or the medical accounts similar to this one account, it gave us the cash flow we needed, not the profitability we needed. So it gave us the opportunity to say, okay, where can we be the best? And for me, we aren't the Amazon or the Walmarts of the world. We want small, profitable contracts that we have a lot of consultative value that we bring. So, yes, that started the big accounts, helped us generate the cash to be able to afford to expand what our actual offering is, which is your SMB space.
Sure. We're in the Chicagoland area, and there's a huge company here in Chicago. We've had the opportunity to work with some, and we watch them kind of really big Copier-dealer and their MSP. They just hired great talent, and they went from a few $1 million into the 70, 80, $100 million in the shortest amount of time I could ever imagine. It was under 10 years. And, watching them kind of start with the smaller accounts and work their way up. Great strategy. And I love it. I think that they're a rare breed that can play that quickly and in that big a territory. And I love the many but profitable contracts, and the smaller. I mean, I myself, I like small business. I like 20 users. I like 40 users, but man, they ain't wrong to go for those big ones either.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, more importantly, are you a Bears fan?
You know what? I am. I'm not a huge football fan, but the Bills would
Okay.
be my thing.
Okay. All right. Cool. We could keep talking then.
Okay,
Um,
very good. Who do
we're
you in
house
New Mexico?
divided.
Who do you guys relate to?
I know most people are Cowboys fans, but I'm a huge Packer fan.
Oh,
So our
geez.
family
Okay, yeah.
we are Colt. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
But
Yeah.
I
Well,
digress.
Bears are
Yeah,
doing this.
yeah, our segment, our claim to fame is again that partnership approach where there's additional products and offerings with the diversification we have, right? Our ideal partner is that SMB that says, hey, we don't know what we don't know, and we trust you to help us understand what we need to know, whether that is AV and collaborative tools or managed services and some cyber pieces there, or just imaging, right? Print and so business processes.
So, again, having some benefit of working with a number of copier dealers, one of the things that I had to learn really quickly, and I'm still kind of developing my own thoughts around it, is I thought with the first one I met, I was like, it's got 800 clients, you got 500 clients. These are going to be your greatest lead source into the MSP, into the IT side. For the population I've experienced, that's not true. Uh, and I also thought, you guys are going to kill it. You've got a huge sales force, much more so than a standalone MSP. Those folks are going to go out and kill it and learn how to do it quickly. What's kind of the reality in your world on capturing those copier clients and utilizing the sales team that already was existing in your business?
That's a doozy. I think it's constant. Every year we're learning more and more about what's working and not working. I would say that we have about 12% of our client base that is more in the ideal candidate space, right? In a perfect world, we'd like to be 20 to 30% of our copier contracts or partners being a good opportunity for IT, but that's just not the reality. But ultimately, it's relationships and referral based selling. So if we have still 85% of our client base that knows someone, right? So it's also about brand recognition and credibility. Hey, I know your trucks. I see you guys in the market. And so there's value that you can't really put a number on when you talk about the diversification of our business. But I would say, yeah, 12 to 15% of our client base is potential candidates, but just for managed services. But that doesn't include VoIP, which that's a lot happening there. And that's low hanging fruit. That's super profitable. That's a direction that we pay our copy reps a lot on. And so for the first about 5 years of the business, we had generalist as sales reps, and then we had specialists behind the scenes. And now we segment them. We're too large to be able to say, hey, you're a copier rep and IT rep and you're a bird dogging. We don't do that anymore. We have, imaging reps and we have managed services reps and audiovisual reps. And so they still get lead fees because you have to drive behavior, incentivize every rep with some sort of a carrot. But it's no longer, I am the quarterback sales rep and I manage the relationship. It's the team is a team selling approach, and you can call any and all of us.
All right. So obviously a lot of people are going to watch this and whatnot. So we can't talk too much shit, but I love, I love and I hate the moment that a copier dealer with an MSP and they're still trying to figure out the MSP thing and get it really scaling, when they have that light bulb moment that like, oh, I'm going to have to hire standalone MSP reps.
You do.
It's a painful thing. And the reason I love it is like, okay, I think you're there. I hate it because it took them so long, and it's no bad on them. It's just the mental gymnastics that we watch copier dealers play to say, well, maybe I don't have to hire an MSP rep. Maybe I can get, Bob or Joe to come along. But when they finally get it, it's like, great, you're going to take all that awesome sales management and leadership experience that you have and have great success with a standalone rep. So I love that moment. Did that come quickly for you? Did that take some time? Was it a matter of scaling and finding the dollars to do it? What was the inflection point for you to say, we're going to have to build individual sales teams?
It took a little bit of time. Like I said, first 5 years we were doing generalists. At that time, we were also in security, so I spun off security a couple years ago. And so we were doing a lot of things. And what we saw and what really actually was the catalyst for that change was the reduction of the core business, because we had the sales team focusing on so many things that they weren't focused on anything. And so it was us analyzing the trends of our reduction of top line in other segments because we weren't allowing people to be laser focused on what they're best at. And so when we did that, and we no longer did splits or anything like that, we just said, here are the different teams, and you still get a piece of the pie, but you're not spending time in it. Copier rep, they're like, great, I make a few $100 and I just hand off the deal all day. And it also was kind of quick for us to understand that there's a different profile. So we're really into the profile analysis tools. And so there's a different profile needed to be able to be successful in managed services. So we're like, those are totally different profiles.
Now, you've this is a family business, I believe you said. How did you come up in the business? What was your path? I mean, from day one to obviously now being the president and really running everything, what was your core time spent?
It should have been spent in therapy. So I love family business. I'm like really obsessed with understanding how it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you have the same unique challenges. And it's like, how can we, less than 30% of family owned businesses make it successfully to the second generation. And of that 25 to 30%, less than 10% make it to the third generation. What? That's crazy. And when you think about managed services, not as much managed services, but copier dealers, there's a lot of family businesses. And so when we can understand the dynamics and kind of set up systems and processes in place to help support the strength of the family and also the scaling of the company, I just totally geek out on that stuff. But I didn't know I was interested in the family business. I mean, obviously it was like summer jobs all the time. Before child labor laws, right? I was like the manager of shredding.
Yes,
I
yes.
even used to, I took a stab at remanufacturing cartridges because that's kind of where we started, and I quickly got fired from that. I was not good at that. Um, and I went to school in Colorado, and I got out of school. I got a poli-sci degree, and like bills started coming and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with my life? And and I reached out to one of our manufacturers, and he said, "Hey, you need to interview for a company out in Denver." I was like, "Cool." So I started at this company. It's called All Copy Products.
You worked at
So
All
very
Copy?
large, a
Did you work
very
for
large dealer.
Brad?
So I did, I did. And
That's
now it's wild
amazing.
going to these events and like us going on trips together. I'm like, "You were my boss."
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I started there, cut my teeth there, and then I came back home. And gosh, 14 years ago. And so I started just in sales, right? And that was what was so beautiful about being in a family business. Um, your value is easily tracked and validated when you're in sales, right? So my dad wasn't like, "Hey, my daughter's really great. Like, let's give her a raise." He was always like, "Your raise is effective when you are," right? So it's, and so it allowed me to earn credibility in the company and within our client base because the numbers don't lie whether you're doing a good job or not. And so I've always been in that sales capacity and just I would say, it's interesting because a lot of family businesses on the outside, if you're not in a family business on the outside, people are like, "Oh, you became a manager. Like, okay, you just got." No one wants to just be forced to become a man. You're like, you lose opportunity for your like personal income opportunity, all these things when you're, I would say, forced into management before you're ready, right? You fail forward. You're botching things right and left. And so it's not like your family's like, "You're going to go to school and you're going to learn to be a manager." They're like, "Hey, tomorrow you're a manager and good luck. The weight's on your shoulders." And so quickly grew into that space. I fell in love with just empowering people, and I also really like control and winning and having authority. That's my profile. So um, love it, love it. Yeah, and so I have two of my three siblings in the business. I've got six cousins in the business. It's like, I mean, we have a lot of family in our organization.
So what are the things? So I'll try and be too long-winded about this. I've been working with MSPs for like 20 years now, and
Awesome.
women in leadership and technology of MSPs, it is a tiny, tiny percentage. When I look at my copier dealer friends and colleagues and clients, uh, probably the biggest amazing thing that's happening is there's so many women in leadership. And especially like I can name for you five women, now six with you, who are family that came up through the ranks. There's brothers, there's male cousins, but the women are the ones taking that leadership role. And in that kind of second or third generation. Is that just a weird coincidence, or sons of copier dealer, just deadbeats? Like what's happening that the women are taking such a great leadership role? If you have a theory on that.
I don't necessarily have a theory, but I've definitely recognized it. So I was recently asked to speak at the National Sharp Conference in Orlando, and super honored. It was really cool. But like going up there and 10 years ago, I was one of the only women in the entire, 5,000, whatever, like any conference I'd go to, it was just this woman. And this is crazy, Josh. So there's this one time I went to this conference and I was VP sales at the time. So this wasn't like that long ago. And my brother's with me. And we're going around and more than four or five people, they were like, "Oh, like," and they immediately talked to my brother. And they're like, "Oh, is this your assistant?" And I'm like, "No, I'm his boss, doggone it." Right. And so it did take a lot of time for me to feel confident in like, I don't need their approval or their, what their view of me. In no way does that pull any weight. So it did take time for me to be able to like self reflect and manage that experience. But at this Sharp conference, it was so cool. And I actually brought it up when I was speaking is three of the five main stage speakers were women. And it was awesome. And I also said that maybe that's why our industry is so profitable right now because women are leading it. But in all seriousness, I think it's just a shift in people valuing and seeing that women are just as strong. And we have such a diverse group here. We've got over 50% of our executive team is female. A lot of us are minorities in some capacity. We have just a huge breadth of diversity in our business. And I feel like that's a big part of why we are successful, right? We've got so many strategies, so many thoughts, so many ideas, and we just, no idea is a bad idea.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's really cool, and it is refreshing to see, women and minorities represented some degree more and more, and hopefully that just is a trend that keeps continuing. And I have a lot of guests on the podcast that speak a lot about women in leadership and then women in technology, and it's one of those areas that I'm not like some really nice guy who just gives a shit about everything in the world, but this one, it is interesting. It's very interesting to me. When you look at the MSP side of the business, it is rough numbers. Are we 10 people in our MSP? We 50 people? Where in the band are we with our MSP?
So we have recently, we've implemented a lot of, so we're implementing Lean Six Sigma. We're implementing a lot of AI technologies and tools, and so our headcount isn't growing at the same rate as our top line is growing. So this is a really good thing, right? Expenses are going down, top line's going up. This is beautiful. And so a year ago we were at 73 employees. Right now we're at 52, and we're at um, 29% growth year over year on top line, and I mean, a significant amount on bottom line. And so I think that goes to show what we're doing in systems and automation. But of that, in the MSP world, 20% of our team is on that side.
Okay. And with that, and you kind of went where I wanted to go with that size MSP, which is
We'll be right back with more. But first, here's a quick message from Bering McKinley.
Most MSPs are constantly busy, chasing tickets, projects, and fires. But without structure, it's hard to know if the business is really improving. Vision from Bering McKinley is the system that helps you work on your business, not just in it. It connects leadership strategy with daily execution. Vision aligns people, process, and performance, creating clarity and rhythm from goals to results. And the Vision app brings that structure to life, helping you create policies, track goals, review KPIs, and collaborate with your BMK consultant all in one place. Behind it all, Jetson AI, your assistant inside Vision, helps you find answers, generate insights, and take action faster. With Vision, you gain visibility, accountability, and measurable growth. You're not guessing, you're improving. Vision, Jetson, and the Vision app, your path from strategy to results. Start transforming your business today.
All right, let's get back to the conversation.
nice size MSP. How much, I don't know, R&D time do you get to put into exploring what AI can be doing and what automation can be doing? And it sounds like you guys are really putting some concentration towards that.
We are. I think right now, this past year, so I've been bought in for a minute, but I felt like a shift in the company happened in like about the third quarter where people are bought in. They're like, oh, okay, this is not a threat. This is an opportunity for me. And so we've invested in a lot of people going to AI boot camps. I personally am the one that typically builds out our like custom GPTs and automation tools. We have another like application manager who I've invested in making sure he understands how do we utilize Power BI, how do we implement AI, and really start becoming like building AI agents versus some of the like more legacy large language models. So doing a lot. We're doing a lot, but yeah, I and
So you
I'm not too sure I've like have a thought around like is it good or is it bad, you know? But hey, we're in
is
it.
what it is. So you yourself are kind of learning and building agents and really wrapping your head around what this all means and technically what it means as well, it sounds like.
Definitely. And I'm not like I'm not a pro. Like I mean I follow a lot of these people and I watch what they do and I'm like that no. I'm not coding, I'm not doing any of those things, but to give you an example, I've built an RFP development tool. It's taken because I also do most of the technical writing on some of the larger RFPs we do. And so taking an RFP that would take me 60 hours to do took me 4 hours to do. It's beautiful.
So we at Bering McKinley, I'm not technical and I don't have much of an attention span to really learn awesome, hard new things. But one of my partners is that person. And so, I always get excited about new technology, and I got really excited around AI, and particularly ChatGPT was about the breadth of it. But he took that initiative to build out our own agent, where we took like all of our knowledge around MSP business and just dumped it into the database, the data set, and all the technical stuff. And I'll ask that thing a question, and it gives a better answer than me every single time. And we kind of found ourselves, because that's a very client facing tool now. And we were with that kind of innovator's dilemma of saying, well, here we're about to give all of our information for, a low monthly fee. What's that going to mean? And it was obviously the right thing to do. And, we find that we're able to spend more time consulting with our clients than what we were probably doing before, which is training our clients. So now it's
Amen.
like, you've got the information, you've got the how to do it. Now it's okay. Now what is your management style, or what's going on with you that you're not able to execute? Because once you can remove that knowledge, limiter on there, now people really get to figure out, how am I as a manager or a leader?
That's exactly right. Right? Like, how can we shorten that ramp up curve of leadership development? And that's another tool that I built, right? A coaching tool. So our managers can go in and say, hey, I'm having an issue with this employee. This is their culture index profile. What is our policy? Build me paperwork and a sample talk track of how I have a conversation with this person about this thing. It is wild. So our time is going to more effective things, right? Our time is going to where we're like uniquely able to do things, right? Not this administrative task oriented thing. It's laser focused on strategy, or what's the next thing, or, there's so many things that our time needs to go to.
Absolutely.
It's
And,
beautiful.
I struggle. If a year ago I was really hypersensitive to like, oh, I'm cheating by having ChatGPT write this, or Jetson or a thing writing this. Now I'm not as sensitive to that at all. And I heard somebody say the other day, like, it's not cheating. Is it any more than using a calculator is cheating to do your
Exactly.
math? He says it's a word calculator. It's just a thought calculator. So now it's like this force multiplier. And that, if I was sensitive at all, 6 weeks ago when I heard that, I'm not at all now. Just saying, hey, it's there. The information's there, and they can speed it up. So, are you? What's your current? So we know we're getting great traction on using the tool to shorten task for ourselves. Have you started playing any automation yet?
So some of the tools that we use in our business, helps us automate, but not natively. We're not building the agents natively to do that.
Right.
We'll get there. We were at a stage early on where we're like, let's invest in all of these companies. This is the rate that they're at. And then the more I was understanding, I'm like, everyone's using the basic fundamental tool. Why am I going to pay someone for the same technology if we can just understand it ourselves? Because the second we implement a tool from a third party, it's obsolete in minutes, right? We've got to build a champion internally to know how we get to the next level. But I wouldn't say we do a ton of automation outside of identifying gaps in our processes and like bottlenecks. So I'll upload our financials or certain areas, and I'm like, here are the benchmarks we want to be at. Identify 3 of the top things that can help me move the needle fastest for this quarter. So I'll look at that, and that helps streamline analysis, but I don't automate at this stage.
Yeah, I've been watching, there's a category of tool, you probably know it, called an RPA, robotic process automation. And like Roost is a big name in that in our MSP space. You familiar with that?
Yep.
So I got so excited 2 years ago when I went to their conference and we had somebody on my staff who was really into it. And it was so amazing. And I was like, oh, game over. Like it's every MSP is going to be doing this and they're going to be bringing it to their clients. And I'm a terrible visionary, just so we all know this. I couldn't have been more wrong. When I first started hearing about Roost and RPAs, I'd go to our peer team events. I'd be like, guys, tell me your thoughts on this. And it didn't take long to realize that those leaders in that aspect, they were not creative at all. They wanted to kind of shit on it and like, oh, flavor of the month. Josh is excited about something else. And they're not entirely wrong. That is kind of my profile. But and now we look 2 years later and the MSPs are still doing nothing in it. And where I would have hoped or thought that not only would their businesses have benefited from so much automation, that they'd be well on their journey of bringing it to their clients and expanding their relationship with their clients and their business processes. Maybe you have some thoughts around it.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, we've implemented tools that have fallen completely on their face. And that's kind of the nature of the beast. I don't know. I mean, it's similar to you. I'm not inventing ideas. I'm seeing an idea and I'm throwing it at the wall and hoping it sticks. For as many successes we've had just as many failures in implementing tools. It's that end user adoption that's going to be the biggest failure, right? How quickly can we change the behavior and the lens of the end user? That's the first step. So I think for me, it's like we've shifted too fast to automation. For us, what we're doing internally is breaking down every single process manually because we can't throw technology at something to automate it if we don't know fundamentally what our issues are with process. So we're going old school. We're like, we're doing, process lean mapping from Lean Six Sigma to understand what is every single touch of every single process and what is not needed. Then you throw technology at it. And so often, and maybe that's just like Americans in general or humans in general, we're just like quickest way to the diet, quickest way to, right? It's not this grind of understanding fundamentally what the root cause or issue is before we throw tech at it.
Yeah, that was something that was said from the stage at the Roost conference that it had to be said, but it's like, why I wonder why it has to be said in 2024, 2023. It's like you can't automate the process that doesn't exist. It's like, well, no shit. And then you're like, oh, no shit. It like
Yeah.
totally resonates where it's like, if you're not going to do the work of figuring out how and why you do something, no sense throwing the technology in. And maybe that's where we hurt ourselves a lot in this journey
Well,
is,
and to go on that too, like if we don't have a champion internally, if we don't have someone internally to identify where that link break is, because again, every process changes it just changes so rapidly that if you don't have someone to identify it and shift it, then you're paying that third party company you are relying on them and their R&D and their ability to scale and understand your process. Everyone's different. And so it's going to be really hard. I think there are going to be a lot of tech companies that start that almost like the App Store, right? People are going to come up with custom GPTs and you can buy them, you can get them. Great. But the sooner you can become independent and understanding even fundamentally how to use it, that's going to be so much more powerful than if you're buying this in perpetuity.
yeah, there's no doubt, that is kind of a tough mix of build it or buy it. And I know when we were building our application, it took us a long time to get there. It was like, we're building, functioning in our own company with like 7 different tools. And then we said, well, we really need this thing, and that's really going to do awesome things for us. And we're like, well, how do we cobble them together? How do we, bring Zapier or any other, API stuff together? We finally just were like, we're going to have to build this ourselves, looking at all that's anything off the shelf. And it was a real struggle because we were like, we're not in that business. We don't know how to build stuff. And, thankfully, again, my partner is really smart and found great vendors to help us build it. But I can't even imagine having gone through a struggle of trying to bend another tool to what we needed to do instead of just saying, build it ourselves. Now we've
Yeah.
spent ungodly amount of money that we didn't have, but it's a game changer. So are we talking the same language in terms of
Totally.
you feel like we might need to build our own things as opposed to finding something off the shelf in this
Yeah.
arena?
And for me, like so many people want to save the world with this thing. I'm like, can we automate or can we take this one person's task from this many hours to this many hours?
Yes.
I'm not looking to do like everything in the world. I'm just like, hey, I have someone that I'm paying great money for to do data entry for 80% of her job. How do we eliminate that? How do we eliminate 50% of the 80%? I'm good with that. We don't need to do massive, crazy automation to get to this next stage. If we're there now, then where will we be in 2 years?
Yeah, that's very insightful. And I've been really excited. Now that I talk to these folks again tomorrow. There's a company called Process Plan, and I just got like a random email from them, and set an appointment because they said we build you AI employees. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. So they talk about, in our first stage, we build you a workstation for your AI employee.
And then you onboard
And
them.
what's that?
And then you onboard them.
That's right. Yeah, and that's a
Yeah.
big part of it. He said, how you onboard them is you are recording yourself doing a task that you want to have automated. Now you can
Yeah.
also use our other tool to kind of document out your task very technically, or you can just record yourself doing this task. And then they take it in-house, they do their magic to it. And next thing you know, that AI employee is doing it. And I was like, God damn, that sounds cool. Like, and they showed me a couple demo examples of it. And it's like, that's amazing. Now as I'm, having this conversation with you, I'm like, okay, well, whatever's happening behind the scenes, what is it that they're doing that I couldn't build for myself? Why am I going to be tethered to a only growing invoice from them for
Right.
awesome stuff? It's going to work
Because
great,
you
I'm
got to
sure.
tweak them, you got to teach them, you got to constantly feed them.
Yeah.
That's my thought. So we were looking at one the end of last year, and I was like, okay, I'm going to bring on a customer experience rep, an AI rep, and then a sales admin. My goal was like, hey, if I could create an AI sales admin, that's the game changer. And I'm like, why am I trying to kill myself? Like, this is crazy. It's still a fixed $50,000 a month expense. And I'm losing fundamentally for us. I'm struggling to understand how our identity as a company changes if we start utilizing AI for humans. And so our identity, I don't think our culture is ready for the replacement of a human, right? And so we're just not, we're not there yet. I don't think the adoption there wouldn't be enough trust built yet.
Yeah, no doubt. And I shared this experience with a few people. I called United Airlines maybe a month back, and I needed to do something complicated with a few tickets for my family and moving this and that. And man, it took me probably 15 minutes of a 20-minute call to realize I was working with AI. And I was like,
It's crazy.
that was amazing. It was so smooth. It was
Yeah.
great. But that's a billion-dollar company with no accountability. They don't give a shit if I liked it or not, really.
Totally.
And I'm still going to do business with them because I live in Chicago. So it's like they have a different set of things at stake. For your company, for
Totally.
my company, it's like too personal just yet to really kind of fully leverage to that. And I wonder when I look back at saying this 5 years from now, was I right? Was I wrong? And I think I'm right, but maybe the world's
No
going to
idea.
move so fast that
No.
it's just is what it is, and no sense
Yeah.
fighting it. I don't think that's it, but might could be. Might could be. So what's next for? Is there? Is there a big initiative at play over there right now where like we're just about to flip the on switch, or are you in more of a research mode with really kind of capturing the next level around AI and automation? Where are we on our journey today then?
Not really. I mean, I think we're just, we have some initiatives as far as continued. So now, right now, our team is documenting things that are tasks so we can identify what potential there is.
Okay.
We are completely migrating on the imaging and AV side, to a new ERP, CRM, a completely different new system from ECI next year. And so that is a huge undertaking.
Wow.
So I'm trying to limit change and
Yeah.
implementing additional tools, but I'm going from 9 third-party applications to 1. And so if it works the way it's supposed to, we're excited about the opportunity with this new system. And so we still have 2 systems where we use ConnectWise, and then we use what is eAutomate, but we'll be moving to this company called Noetics. And so I have high hopes. I'm conservatively optimistic with even what, if they say half of it's true, great. But it's going to be, when we have this sort of growth trajectory, it's going to be hard for the team to see this shift, right? When we have that much change, I'm projecting a pretty static year next year at about a 5% growth target, just to stair step us up to, the 15 to 25% growth year over year after that. So, it's going to be a lot. So AI is not the flip of a switch. It's more fundamentals. How do we get to a point where foundationally we can scale at a rate that I want to scale at moving forward?
Okay. So can we talk about this? As this is huge for me. I'm only, 5-6 years into the copier world exposure, and maybe 40 or 50 I've worked with. I've never heard of anyone moving out of ECI or eAutomate.
I know.
Can we talk
Stick
about
it to
that a
the
little bit?
man. Stick it to
Yeah,
the man.
right. Yeah.
So there are 2 other dealers that I know well that are migrating. One went live. Ultimately, we were vetting other solutions, and we just got to a point where we said, okay, how many more applications do we need to implement in order for this to have workarounds for a workaround? And so when we were talking about scaling and growing at the rate we want to grow at, it wasn't people that were the barriers, right? It was our system. And so, yes, it's the devil we know, but at some point that devil gets so awful to work with that it's just, I can't see a future that I want to see with the systems we have in place.
Yeah, I'll say it, so you don't have to say anything, but I do not hear flattering things about the incumbent tool. I hear we use it because we have to. And it sounds like you're breaking that pattern and saying, I'm going to go find, what's
We're
else out there.
definitely one of the few, for sure. And it'll be exciting, right? Here's the thing. When we talked about risk and stuff, I'm like I love risk. But I said, okay, worst case scenario, right? This tool falls flat on its face, and we go back to what we know, and we probably lost $500,000. Maybe, probably more than that. But we're in this perfect position where we're kind of on the forefront of it, to where we're working with them directly to really help design what this will look like for the dealer channel. And they have a lot riding on making sure it was successful. So there's that perfect time where it's not too early, because they are in other segments, not just the copier world. So we've seen it work in other industries. And now they have so much invested in the copier dealer channel that they got to make it work. And so we feel really comfortable, and we appreciate the partnership that we built with them and the trust level that we built with them. So it's worth the risk for us.
It reminds me of like early days of ConnectWise, and we've been doing business with them since 2006, and when that founder was there, and he had a couple of great right hand people. It was like there was that energy. Like if you were larger than 10 users, you really had, the founder's ear, and he was taking your ideas and hearing you. And 20 something years later, it's like that ain't that company anymore. So it's exciting to be on the forefront of a tool that's coming into your industry and being at the front line, because you get that attention and you get that ability to have impact on, the development and obviously your own, implementation of it. So that's really exciting. Is that I know you kind of said the name a little bit. You want to shout that name out there at all,
It's
or
called Noetics. Mark Spears is from
Noetics? Noetics.
Noetics. Noetics.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And you've seen a couple other partners or probably go to go with them at this stage.
So one of them is live, and one is going live next month. We start the sandbox instance in January. We're hopefully going to be fully live with all the modules by they're saying May, I'm saying like June, July. So, yeah.
Yeah, good for you. That's great. You're taking a long approach at it. We do, couple hundred fresh ConnectWise installs every year. And, you get some people are like, just chill, like, hey, however long it takes. But you get another person who's like, we want to send our first invoice 2 months from now. I'm like, you can, but you're not that, but let's not plan on that. And it's always a sobering moment for them, but I like a nice long implementation. So what do you do? Is there a day, maybe it's in June or July, where it's like, cool, our incumbent tool is turned off and we're all on this thing? Or are you going to run a parallel for
We're
the
running
latter
parallel until June,
until
July.
June? Okay.
Yeah.
So you
So
might be doing,
so it depending on the module, we will turn off certain modules within the incumbent tool once we validate the accuracy of the other tool. And so we're, starting with contracts, right? And so what's really cool about what I feel our company is seeing and feeling or experiencing with our culture is everyone's so bought in and ready and excited that they're like, pick me, like we're ready for something new and different. Where
even the
so
accounting
often you're like,
folks, even the accounting folks.
especially the
No
accounting folks.
shit.
The tax, we're still working on that, right? The tax, but we're saying, hey, this will automate this, and this. And they're like, well, if it does just this, then great. Because the incumbent tool is such a bear, right? It's just an obstacle after obstacle and workaround after workaround that I think there's going to be some really cool adoption. But even outside of that, I feel like we have better planning than we've ever had, to where marketing's already saying, okay, how do we position this in our client base? How do we prepare them? What kind of tools, what kind of financial things are we going to do to make sure that there's a comfort level of the shift? And so all departments are like, how do we make this successful? Which is cool. Everyone's like rowing in the same direction and excited. I'm terrified, but I have trauma from our OMD to ECI shift, so it'll be good.
Now, in all of that researching and with that kind of mandate to, lessen the stack and the tools and the apps, how hard did you push on seeing if you could get your PSA, your ConnectWise, in the mix? Was there just too far of a leap?
No, it's not gonna be too far. I don't think we'll migrate that into this instance, but what we'll do, so I just want to stabilize. Like, let's get some stability. And then by that time, there'll be, integrations, and also APIs aren't going to exist in a year. It's going to be agent models, right? AI agent models are going to act in lieu of APIs. So at that point, right, I'm hoping in 24 months, we can just build an AI agentic model to bring in the ConnectWise instance. But even if I've been running them siloed since inception of DSI technologies, so it's not like it's a shift for us.
Oh, that's interesting. All right. Well, good. Well, I'm excited for you. I'm nervous for you as well, but I know it's going to go.
Cross our fingers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully we can have you back on in June or July, and we can high five what you were able to
It's
accomplish
going to be
with
high
it.
fives. There are no tears allowed in
Cheers
June and
aloud.
July.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
good deal. Well, listen, Jocelyn, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a great conversation. Um, you guys are out of what state again?
New Mexico. We're based
And
in
where can
Albuquerque, but we have um, 8 offices in New Mexico.
and where could people find you or your company?
Hopefully everywhere.
Everywhere?
In all of the different areas of business. But we're, if I will be highly offended if people come to New Mexico and they don't reach out to us to say, hey, let us show you around. We love it
Right.
here.
And what's the web address?
DSINM.com.
DSINM.com. All right. Very good. Well, Jocelyn, again, thank you very much.
Thank
Everyone
you,
else
Josh.
watching, hey, you're welcome. And thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Give us a like, a share, subscribe, write a comment in there. We love seeing them. We love responding to them. And that's it. So bye-bye.